Hi, welcome to Titan Reloading. I'm Michael, and today we're going to be talking about the ClassiCast turret press. We're going to be discussing capabilities of the press, the operation, which is pretty simple for this press, and then some of the reasons why you would choose it over the other press options. I also do want to mention that we are currently running a sale at Titan Reloading through Father's Day on the press kit. The price on it's $179.99 if you use the coupon code FATHER in all capitals. I'll be sure to put that in the description down below. But let's start talking about the press here. All right, so this is the ClassiCast turret press. It uses a 4-hole turret, which will allow you to put 4 dies on there. And then with this turret system, you can quickly and easily change between various cartridges just by switching out the turret. On the press, there is a indexing rod down here, and this is going to be what actually causes the turret to turn every time you bring the ram to the bottom. There's a twist in here, and it just causes it to turn over every time you pull the lever here. You will find for cartridges that are taller than the 308, you will not be able to use this indexing system because the bullet will still be in the die as it's attempting to index to the next stage. So what you would need to do is remove the indexing rod, which is really easy to do. As you can see, takes maybe 5 seconds. In there. So with this press, what you're going to be doing is one case from start to finish. So you would put in your spent casing, run it up, size into prime. If you're using the safety prime, you just bring this over, click a primer in. Otherwise, you can put them on by hand. When you bring it to the bottom of the ram stroke, it will prime here. You run it up. And of course, the powder measure is case actuated, so since there's no case, it's not going to do anything. But it would feed the powder. You would set your bullet on there, seat the bullet, crimp it, pull it out, and you're done. Reloading on this press for pistol cartridges, you can easily do 200 in an hour. And rifle cartridges, I usually say probably 150. Just because there is that added case conditioning step with trimming your rifle case. It slows you down a little bit. But the nice thing about this press is it's really simple, easy to use. You can verify things throughout any process just by pulling the case out, double checking it. If you want to do weigh your powder charge each time, it's really easy to do that. You can tear the case with the new primer installed, run it up into the powder measure, pull it out, check the weight. Easy to do if you want to do checking the overall links, things like that. You're definitely capable of doing it on this press. I will say anytime I only have to reload like 100 rounds or so, the ClassiCast turret press is the one that I usually use for that, just because the setup and tear down of the press is really easy. It takes no time at all to get this thing set up, especially after you have the die set on the turret. As I mentioned, it is as easy as pulling off that turret and then putting on the new one, double checking your powder charge and your bullet seating depth just to make sure. So as far as who would want to use the ClassiCast turret press, this is probably one of my favorite presses for beginners, just because it's not slow, or it's not using the batch reloading process, so it's much quicker to reloading than a single station press. And again, it's not a regressive press, so there's not nearly as many moving parts going on that you have to sit there and tinker with to make sure it is working appropriately. It's a much easier press to use. And for beginners, it's really nice to have a convenient press just to make sure that you can focus on the reloading aspect of it and not so much on the is my press working aspect of it. And then, as I also mentioned, anybody who reloads a moderate amount of various cartridges would also have the benefits of the turret press, because that setup and takedown is so easy on this press. So if you have to reload 100 of a few different cartridges, you're not spending all that time trying to change a progressive between the various cartridges. You can just, again, switch out the turret, make sure you got the right shell holder, the right primers, double check your powder. Much easier to do on this press. All right, so this has been the ClassiCast turret press. There really isn't a whole lot to talk about with the press because it is a really simple, easy to use, convenient press. So there isn't too much to talk about in regards to the operation of the press. I will mention that one of the things that come up with a lot of reloaders is there is a small square ratchet, and that is what actually causes the indexing. So there's a small plastic square ratchet that fits inside the clamp down here. I'll see if I can get a picture of that on the video for you. But what happens is when you bring the ram down to the bottom, it gets locked between the indexing rod and this clamp. So if you were to spin the turret right now manually, what you would in essence be doing is forcing it through a square cutout where the corners of that ratchet are going to get rounded off because it's locked in place. There's no room for it to spin freely. Anytime you have to spin the turret manually, what you're going to want to do is raise the ram up probably about halfway. And then what it does is it drops into the cylinder portion of the clamp here, and it'll allow you to spin this freely without you having to worry about rounding off the corners. And that really is the only real suggestion to this press and smooth operating. Again, it's a really easy press to use. All right, so like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we do have a sale going on for the ClassiCast turret press kit. What the kit's going to include is obviously the ClassiCast turret press itself. It does have the auto drum powder measure, which is probably one of my favorite powder measures when you're using it on the press. And then it also has the safety prime system to help you feed the primers just a little bit quicker. It will also have the Lee reloading manual, the Lee powder scale, which is an analog counterbalance scale, and then a few of the other smaller items like the case conditioning tools, some Lee lube just in case you're doing rifle cartridges. It's a really good kit if you're getting started in reloading. You just basically add a pistol die set to it and you can start reloading. With rifles, you're going to want to get the die set and the charging die, the appropriate charging die for the cartridge that you're doing, and then also the trimming tools, because you do got to make sure that you're trimming those rifle cases when they get too long. But that has been the ClassiCast turret press. Again, it's a really easy, convenient press to use, so there's not a whole lot of information to really give on it. If you found this video to be informative, feel free to like and subscribe to our page. If you have your own opinions or stories about the ClassiCast turret press, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. I'm Michael, and as always, happy reloading.